What's up, Dub Nation? E40 voice. We're here on an off day, middle of 3 straight days off, and thought it would be good to just get on here in between the games so that, you know, you have something to talk about. Take a look at some of the scores for tonight. Let's see. And then let me go here and send the link over to our good buddy CJ Holmes of the Chronicle, as well as Charlie Torres. Klay's trainer. We're gonna have Klay's trainer on here. CJ Holmes. Good old time. CJ Holmes 5. All right. So, let's see. Okay. Paste. Got it. There and there. Boom. Okay, is anybody on yet? 18 people. Okay, 1 like. Oh yeah, we got a like. Everybody like 3 likes, 18 people. First time we really done this, which is like do something on a day off other than what? I guess we did something before the season. Dean and I got on here. We did something during the pool. I'm just trying to figure out how to lift trying to learn this chair that I got here. I don't know how to use this. Anyways, one of these armrests is lower than the other, so it's funny. Hey, there's Amy, our first comment of the night. So 25 more minutes and we'll have CJ Holmes on here. And until then, I propose, why don't we look at, oh man, accidentally screwed that up. Why don't we look at, oh, I know. I want to look at Donte DiVincenzo's interview today, because there's a nice little part that maybe you saw in the headline part. Maybe you saw on our YouTube channel. I'm gonna have to Google that later. He talked about Steph's leadership, and I thought that was really cool. Some of the things that he said, some of the anecdotes, something that we can all learn from, myself included, quite frankly. Oh, by the way, what happened at NRG? NRG Manifest, I think the name was. Here, let me do this. Official apology to NRG Manifest. Yeah, so I don't know. Sorry about that. The last live stream at the end of it, when he or she was like, uh-oh, you're going to use me as a punching bag. And I kind of did. So I apologize for using NRG manifests as kind of like a punching bag. If you're on the live stream, let me know. And I can, hold on, chat disconnected. Let's try this again. If you're on the live stream, let me know. At NRG. Nope. Yeah. I don't even quite, it's all kind of a blur, but I think there was just some miscommunication in the chat. And anyway, I'll do better. I will do better on that. And thanks in part to Donte, because Donte DiVincenzo over here, right over here. Did I get this right? Yeah, I gotta do it in reverse. Right over here, Donte. He said some really nice things about Steph, some things that we can learn about. And so, first of all, that reminds me, we didn't do the Just Us 1, 2, 3 high five yet for each live stream. Oh, I see CJ's here. We might as well just go to CJ, but let's do the Just Us 1, 2, 3 high five real quick. Remember, that's the new high five these days, according to Bill Kennedy and Lauren Holtkamp in Miami. That is a high five, and we just high five to get into this. CJ's here. All right. Hey, Avic, what's up? All right, let's just bring in CJ. Let's take away Donte, come back to Donte later. And CJ Holmes, everybody, beat writer for the Warriors with the San Francisco Chronicle. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Wow, it's an honor to have you, because the legacy of San Francisco Chronicle beat writers is to me, like Bay Area Hall of Fame, And the first one that I ran into on the beat was Rusty Simmons, and then it was Connor Letourneau, and then now it's CJ Holmes, everybody.
Hey, I'm just trying to continue a long line of excellence, man.
And I see you're in the Warriors media room. Wow, you're still at Chase Center.
We working, man. Always working.
That's amazing. And I thought about it. I went out and got something to eat during the drive. I thought about it. I think this time around, this is your first time on here. We'd love to have you again some other time, maybe like once a month or something. But I kind of wanted this intro to really talk about your job, actually, because I think lots of times people forget how difficult it is to be on the beat, and just what you're doing, and they lose sight of that. So then there might be some controversy on an interview on our YouTube channel, and then somebody, some outraged fan is always going to go, man, those reporters don't ask the right questions and this and that. And so I kind of wanted to, because I've been there in the trenches with you guys, is like kind of educate a lot of our audience as to what you do and why you would ask a certain question that seem like, I think a lot of fans think of it as a campfire. Oh, let's get to ask Steve Kerr or Steph these campfire questions, but it's not really about that. It's the business of it, NBA media. So I would like you to start with your background, how you ended up as the Warriors beat writer for the San Francisco Chronicle, and then I'll catch up from there, because I heard a few things on the interviews today from practice, and I believe I know what kind of story you're working on, so maybe we can go from there. But tell us about your background.
Oh man, Cliff Notes version. From Washington D.C. Played ball my whole life. Played my high school basketball at IMG Academy. Played 3 years at Auburn University as a walk-on. while I was at Auburn, I started working at the school paper, and that's what kind of sparked my love for, journalism. Always enjoyed reading and writing, but being able to do it in more of a controlled setting, I love that. And to get paid to do it, so that was pretty cool. So I wrote at the school paper, did various internships through the years, whether it was, Sports Illustrated or Sporting News. Graduated in 2016, no job, moved back home to DC for a year. Ended up doing an internship with the Washington football team that year while doing some, freelance work here and there for like ESPN. There was a site called SEC Country. That was a thing that the Atlanta Courier-Journal was doing. So I wrote some Auburn stuff for that. But long story short, I actually got into UC Berkeley for grad school, and that was the plan to go there. But about 2 months from leaving, I was on the job board one night, saw that the Dallas Morning News was looking for a digital producer. I applied, got the job, ended up moving to Dallas for a year, where I kind of did I worked behind the computer, doing a lot of social media stuff. I blogged for high school football in the Dallas area. Did some stuff in the field, but not a lot. After a year of that, I ended up getting a job at The Athletic, covering the Arizona Cardinals. Halfway through that year, the Cardinals were so bad, they made me more of a GA guy, spread me out. So then I started doing some Suns, some Arizona State, a little bit of Arizona. At the end of that year, they moved me down to Tucson, Arizona to cover U of A basketball and football full-time. Then after a year of that, they moved me to Philadelphia to cover Philadelphia Big Five college basketball full-time.
Wow. After
that year, they transitioned me into an NBA desk guy, where I basically worked on the news desk and wrote free features in my free time. Then about a couple months into that, I was sitting at a 76ers game one night in the media section, and I got a DM on Twitter from my current editor now, Christina Carl, said, "Hey, we're looking for a Warriors writer. Are you interested?" And a couple weeks later, I had a job offer, and it's been go, go, go ever since.
That's a heck of a DM to get right before a Sixers game. That's pretty awesome. So, all right, I guess we should just jump into it. It's how do you sort of tell us about your average day on game day? Because you've got to go into, let's start with morning shoot around. You kind of got to go into that with an idea of what probably, I'm guessing here, you're working on a feature story, and then you're also working on, you will be working on the game recap that night and probably writing it as the game happens. So tell us about what you go through. It's almost like instead of asking what Steph Curry does on game day, we're asking CJ Holmes what he does on game day, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be churning out a feature article at some point and a game recap too.
Yeah, well, Steve's been cutting back on shoot arounds in recent weeks, so I'll kind of do this from the assumption that it's a full game day. Hey, say hey, it's on the live stream. But I think I met her at the airport. Well, never mind. I think I met one of the listeners at the airport one time, but maybe I'm wrong. But
well, you got a lot of fans out there, so.
But assuming it's a full game day, I'm waking up at 8:39. I'm at Chase Center by 10:30. It's usually when their shoot around start. At least that's when they open it up to the media. We usually get one or two players, but shoot around is really a time where you can try to schedule a one-on-one interview with a Steph or a Draymond or a Klay, or if there's a coach you want to pull to the side and talk to them. Shoot around's kind of like a playground, so they're very valuable from that standpoint. Then from there, I usually depending on what's said at shoot around, I either bang out a story there or I head home for my much needed nap. Wake up around 3:30, throw my clothes on, hop in the car, head back up to Chase Center. Kerr usually talks an hour 45 before the game, so that's usually 5:15 for a 7 o'clock start. So 5:15, I'm in the media room. We're asking Steve questions, whether that's an injury update, or what he thinks about the opponent, or maybe if you have some personal questions that you're holding and for a future feature like you kind of observed today. You said you kind of got an idea of what I'm working on. I'm hoping I don't get scooped. But
not by me.
But that's the deal. So then Steve's usually done no more than like 10 minutes. So that puts us at 5:25. So I have from 5:25 to tip off to eat, get my head together, and knock out my pregame story, which we call a beat at the Chronicle, which is basically just like a glorified notebook. You lead it with a big topic and have little bullets at the end with like additional add-ons and stuff, interesting facts or smaller updates. So this is how we did things last year. This year's a little bit differently, but last year I was asked to file takeaways from the game at the buzzer, which can be difficult, right? Because sometimes a game will come down to the buzzer, and what may be important with 8 minutes left in the game might be irrelevant by the time that clock hits triple zeros.
Yeah.
Well, is it triple, quadruple zeros? But
yeah.
So then, you head to the media room, do post game. It's usually Kerr and about 3 to 4 players. Ask your questions based on the game, looking ahead, things of that nature. Then after the game, I have to write the third story, which is like typically like some type of analysis from like what I saw that night, kind of either expanding on my takeaways or, picking out different moments in the game altogether to expand on. So, for the course of the NBA season, these guys are playing 3-4 games a week. So, it's kind of a busy schedule from a week to week, month to month basis. But I do my best to get it done. And I hope, any Warriors fans listening, I hope I'm doing a good job covering your team.
Oh, man, you automatically are. If you got hired by the Chronicle, I tell you, that's really them and maybe 1 or 2 other subscriptions that I actually pay for, and it's not just for the Warriors. The Chronicle is very good at everything, and one thing I love is that they really stay true to that objectivism that you kind of need in journalism, and the Chronicle does a really good job of that. But you also get to observe practice sometimes. And I think we'll come back to this, Anthony. Anthony's got a question about practices, and I want to just generally say, ask you, what have you seen at practice? But also, they're letting the beat writers back into the locker room. So let's start with that. What have you seen in the locker room that fans might be interested in? And what have you seen at practice along the lines of gum and candy that you've also seen?
Well, in terms of practice, we don't actually get to watch practice. They let us in about like 10 minutes to go before guys leave the courts. By the time we get in there, guys are just like shooting around, shooting shit, talking. In terms of what I've seen in the locker room, honestly, not much in recent games. The pregame locker room access, there's some guys in there. Usually it's like the rookies, or you see Moses hanging out by his locker. You might catch Klay, Draymond, or Steph if they're not like already out on the court or getting training or otherwise in another part of the facility getting ready. But it's good to have locker rooms open. This is something that a lot of reporters have fought for across the league, because they kind of got rid of it with COVID, and there's a chance, and there was a while there we didn't look like we were going to get it back. But the NBA Writers Association, a lot of people I know fought hard to get this access back, and it's helpful because it gives you some one-on-one time with these guys if they're willing to talk to you outside of a normal scrum, which allows you to tell, in-depth and unique stories, which is always the goal. But after, there's not much to see, I would say. After the game, if it's a loss, good luck with seeing anybody in there or having anyone who wants to talk. But the Warriors have been like working out like as a team after the game. So after Kerr talks, that's when the locker room opens up. We go down, and the guys are like behind a screen, like lifting weights. So it's kind of just depends on when you're in there. Maybe they determine who you can get. Usually if a guy's on the podium, they don't let us talk to them in the locker room after the game. They're going to the podium. But again, the locker room access is so key in this industry. And, if you do it right, you can really differentiate yourself. And that's what I'm hoping to do.
And so you walked on at Auburn, you said, right?
Yep.
So how does the Auburn locker room compare to the Warriors locker room?
I mean, when I was there was no comparison. But I know Bruce got some renovations done to the locker room over the last couple of years, and I was actually down there last season when the Warriors played Atlanta. I hopped in a rental car, drove down to Auburn for the day. They didn't practice, had the day off, and that thing is a work of art. I'm here to tell you, it's as close to a professional locker room as I've ever seen at the college level. With that being said, Warrior stuff, it's just on a different level. These guys got like TVs in their locker. They got like hundreds of, shoes around their locker. Most of them brand new. You only wear them once. The training facilities down there, from what I've seen, everything looks really elite and top notch. And, what do you expect in this, multi-million-dollar Chase Center? So.
All right. So we do have a couple specific questions, and that we're just going to go with those two questions and we'll let you go. So Anthony Ty says he heard Marcus Thompson say that Wiggs has been talking to people more and more. So what have you seen from Wiggins? And the other question is, who in general is more willing to talk? That's, I guess, not on the podium, I guess, is really the question Bruce is asking. So if you can think back to all your times in the locker room, who seems to be more willing to talk? And overall, your observations of Wiggins, and then we'll let you go.
Well, that championship, last year, I got him to beat midway through the year, and Wiggins was always, keeps to himself. He's on the podium. He doesn't say much, doesn't show a lot of emotion, but that championship glow is different. Wiggins just seems a lot more upbeat. He's smiling when he's up there on the podium, although the answers to his questions aren't always as detailed as you'd want. You can just sense that there's the dude is just radiating positivity, and he does seem a lot more approachable compared to when he was last year, both in asking him questions at the podium and when he would go up and talk to him in the locker room. And in terms of who's more likely to talk, who's not likely to talk, it just all depends, right? Guys have moods. You can kind of read the room and tell. But at the end of the day, we have a job to do. We're in there to talk to players, to make our observations. The worst they can say is no. So if you see a guy, you're a reporter, you need to talk to him, shoot your shot. And the worst they can say is no. If they say that no one time, you try to get him again the next game.
All right. Thanks for all your insights. And best wishes out there on that beat, because it's, it's tough. It's tough getting on that airplane. And then, man, you had 2 back-to-backs in 7 days. Wow. Sometimes you could be like a walking zombie.
Yeah, I'm still trying to catch up on sleep, but season's here. I had a couple months during the off season to sleep. It's go until this team either loses in the playoffs or doesn't make the playoffs altogether. So we'll see.
Yeah. Do you still play basketball? You get a chance?
Not as much as I want to. Funny story, during the Warriors championship parade, somebody got into my trunk somehow and took my basketball with an Auburn logo. It came out of the Auburn locker room that I've had since I was there. So ever since then, I've kind of been ever since then playing pickup. It's been a little sentimental, or it's getting shots up in my spare time. But I need to, because I haven't necessarily been eating the best I could on the road, and these pounds are starting to weigh in a little bit. So I need to get my act together, strap up, and go play some hoops.
All right, well, hang in there, and we're rooting for you. And best wishes for the rest of the season. Maybe I'll hit you up sometime next month or something. But
yeah, let's do it, man.
Thank you so much, CJ.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. All right. So CJ Holmes, man, he's literally logging in to this StreamYard call. We use StreamYard instead of Zoom, from Chase Center. Man, he's still there. So he had to be there today. If practice started at 12, he had to be there at 11:30. I saw one time he posted on Instagram, and we joked about it. The game was at I'm pretty sure it was game day. The game was at I don't know, either 5 or 7. And he was posting at 11 a.m. from Chase Center. He just posted quick shot at the Jumbotron or something like that, just passing by. I was like, what are you doing there so early? That's like earlier than I used to go. I used to go 3 hours. I wanted to be at the facility, at the venue 3 hours before tip off. That was my goal. And that would allow me to film the rookies working out, whether it was Kuminga, Moody, who was brand new last year that worked out a lot in the beginning? Quinn Derry and Jeff Doughton, and then also why am I forgetting? Chioza. Yeah, Chioza. So all those guys, the younger you are, the earlier you start. And I would be there 3 hours before, but here's CJ Holmes. I think it was a 5 o'clock Sunday tip off, and he was there at 11 a.m. That's good 6 hours before tip off. So what he's doing is he's typing away, getting some stories out. So anyway, Bruce, yeah, all this grind. Hey, it led me to greater horizons as well. So I don't know that, man, being on the grind for a while, but you build up that, equity that I like to talk about a lot, where you establish a good routine, you know what works, you know what doesn't. One thing we didn't talk about was his camaraderie with the players. And I think as a former athlete, I want to say that I'm a former athlete too, but at the amateur level, like I would be watching the clock at my 9 to 5 job, ready to go to the men's league in Japantown, like either 6, 7, 8, or 9 o'clock tip off. I wasn't missing that. Like a lot of guys, there would be a lot of forfeits at the 6 o'clock time frame, or there would be a lot of, games would kind of start late because 6 o'clock was difficult to get to Japantown and find a parking spot. I never missed. I was there early. I couldn't give a rat's ass about work. Fire me. No, but I'm kidding. No, I just the way that you approach the actual game itself, I believe, is probably similar to CJ, because he's actually a former collegiate athlete where they had to be at certain places at certain times at the arena, and so I think the camaraderie part, being there with the team, I think he probably values as much as I used to value on that. A little fist bump here with a guy, a little fist bump there with a guy. It just makes you feel like you're part of the team all over again. And that camaraderie part of sports is something that's pretty cool in terms of experiencing in your environment. Back to Anthony's earlier question here, it brings to mind, Anthony, of there's a lot of double bubble gum. Like it's the best bubble gum, I think. I would guess it's one of the better bubble gums out there, because that's what they have at the Team USA practices. And I think it's just a standard that you have in the NBA. You have your double bubble, then you have your I can't even remember the other candies and stuff. Pretty sure there's Jolly Ranchers. Pretty sure there's Jolly Ranchers as well. And the plastic bin that you stick in the middle of the scores table, every Team USA practice. So I would imagine it's the same in the NBA, because they adopt a lot of the same culture, obviously, as the NBA. I mean, it's all NBA driven. Oh yeah, do they try to drive their kids to school? Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they try to. I want to go to Donte right here, because the last part where he talked about so first off, let me see where Charlie's at. We haven't even talked about the issues, like the actual headline of this video. We haven't even talked about. Whoops. We're expecting Charlie Torres, aka Klay's trainer, anytime now. And I said 6:30. It's only 6 o'clock. Okay. So I told Charlie in 15 to 30 minutes. And B, here's Donte DiVincenzo on Steph. So let me just put this right here. This is some good words right here. Let's see if I can just guesstimate where it starts.
Need to be. I played with a really dominant, great leader in Milwaukee.
I'm good.
To be honest. And coming here, obviously hearing a bunch about Steph, he's really shocked me in terms of like actually how down to earth as a person, down to earth as a leader, and as a basketball player, and just how damn good he is. And I think that's what I knew. I had a certain level of expectation, and he blew that out the water. And also, I think the greatest thing is about him on the court and off the court. He's always willing to listen. And I think that's what makes him such a good leader and such a good player, because obviously he knows other people see different things. And he can blow you off at any time, but he doesn't. And I think that's the biggest thing as a leader that's important.
Returning to what looks like it's going to be a very different second unit than the one that you last were with. What's kind of your views of I guess the different group you're returning to?
Focus on what I can.
By the way, sorry to interrupt. He will talk more about Steph after this as well.
Is my energy, my defense, and making sure, playing with JP in that second unit is trying to get him back to where he was busting my ass last year doing the same thing. You know what I mean? I want him mind completely, free and just out there hooping. And I try to do anything I possibly can to settle that second unit down, and just, when the starters come back in, like I said, they take it to a whole nother level.
You mentioned that Steph has had a down-to-earth approach to leadership. What specifically, if you can share, was his message to you guys, or what sort of surprised you the most about the way that he approached this rough start?
I think it's just his demeanor. He never gets rattled. He's out there, having fun. He has a joy for the game, and also he wants to see everybody around him succeed. And I think the greatest thing is he holds everybody accountable. There's plays where, he's getting on Klay, he's getting on Draymond. It's not just getting on the young guys. He also gets on himself. I think that's huge, is when you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I messed up. And that, like I said, he's just down there. It's simple as that.
I like the part where he said that Steph listens. And there's another part of this interview where Donte was sitting at home towards the end of the road trip. I think he may have made it in the beginning, but then had to go back because of the hamstring rehab. And Steph basically asked him for his perspective, which is, different than being on the court. And when you're on the court, sometimes it's hard to see things. This was in the beginning of the Donte interview. And sometimes it's harder to it's harder to see the X's and O's, see where you're maybe not reacting to a screen as easily as if you were to watch the game tape. And it goes back to where we are observing some of these things. It's easier for us to criticize because we can see the bird's eye view. It's easier for me to criticize Jordan Poole's defense because I can clearly see where he's screwing up and stuff like that. So I thought that was an interesting interesting take. Other stuff from I'm writing in the description here some timestamps for people to look at later. Okay. Okay, will Jordan, okay, with the next topic we have here. Oh, here's a Donte. Thanks for interacting, Anthony. Appreciate you keeping alive, chat alive. Dante's like the glue. Yep. His presence. Yeah, his presence. And this will dovetail. This will dovetail into the chemistry issue. I think I have this weird theory that Jordan Poole will play better defense if he plays better offense. It's a strange theory. It's just that I don't know that these guys were ever taught how to play defense. He wasn't taught at Michigan, Jordan Poole. He wasn't taught at whatever AAU team he played with in Milwaukee. And he probably wasn't taught defense at his high school, and he probably wasn't taught, he was the superstar at his high school. Probably one of the more dynamic players at Michigan, I don't know. I wasn't observing him at Michigan, but I'm sure his fans, Michigan fans, college students at Michigan were probably like, oh yeah, Jordan Poole's got some flair, So the gumption to focus on defense was never there. And so I wonder if it's all kind of more emotional. Like he's at this point, I don't know how much I would love to ask Steve during the off season, or as CJ Holmes mentioned at a morning shoot around, I would love to ask him something like, so do you think Jordan Poole can ever become as great a defensive player as, say, Klay Thompson? But did Klay have that defense? That's what we ought to ask Charlie if he knows anything about Klay, his defense coming up, because is this a situation where Poole is just never going to be that great at defense? And how much of that is desire? And I almost think that in today's era of ballers, offensive-minded ballers, I think I want to say almost that maybe if JP plays better offense, maybe it'll bleed into defense. Like his desire to play defense will go up. I don't know. I hope so. And I wonder if that's what happened after the first two games in Boston. And I did an X's and O's for the first two games. JP missed a lot of assignments. Of course, I'm going to keep better track of the game from an X's and O's perspective. Starting Friday against the Cavs, I'm going to go ahead and clip certain segments from the stream and be able to track my X's and O's better. So that'll be a chance to see if Poole is improving as each game goes on defense. Because he sure improved from game, 1 and 2 to 3, 4, 5, and 6. But I don't recall, the exact specifics because I wasn't really looking at that at that time. Like when we're starting to analyze the game the way we're analyzing it on a play-by-play basis here on Let's Go Warriors, I'll have more of an opportunity to do that, especially if I'm clipping segments from the game, which I hope to do. So I wonder. I wonder. That would be a question I'd want to ask Steve, like at a morning shoot around, not in a scrum, because then you're kind of throwing Jordan Poole under the bus in front of everybody. It's one of those things where you kind of want to ask Steve on the side or an assistant coach on the side is what do you think? What do you think JP can do to improve his individual and team defense, rotation defense? Because we're seeing during the games, I'm pointing them out, like Jordan Poole's overplaying the screen, or there's overplaying it, and then there's not overplaying it, but then you get screened, and then you got to spin away from it or do something there, or there's a switch. Maybe you should just switch. Just forget all the gambling. Like, it just didn't seem like JP was forcing the guy the right way. Like he cut off the left, but the guy's right-handed strong hand anyways. And then there was the other one where he thought there would be a switch behind him, but Klay was picked. So the guy ended up having a direct path to the hoop unimpeded. It was Matador defense in a way. And then there was the other one where he was guarding, Zion in the corner, and the guy went down the lane and he just wasn't there to rotate. And yeah, the ball would have gone extra pass to Zion wide open on the baseline, but still, you gotta take the immediate thing away. And JP hasn't been doing any of those. And so maybe he's been improving. We'll see. Is it possible to improve a guy that doesn't really have any of the defensive fundamentals down? And I'd probably get an answer from Steve like, oh yeah, we're working on that. Because he talked about working on defensive drills today in practice, on transition defense and stuff like that. So they're probably working on it, but it would be good to get like a straight answer type of stuff. So here's more Poole. Let's see, learning to distribute his energy. Try to do it all much. Good theory there. I like that one. The energy. Yeah. More energy. Okay. We'll go to Moody next. Yeah. The thing is that with JP, and I think this dovetails into Anthony's other question about chemistry, I think we can use JP as an example for any other type of chemistry issue that we might have. I almost feel like we need a little jolt. Like everybody needs a little jolt. They talked about that today after practice on the podium. There was questions about, and of course this was spurred on by one of the beat writers. Either it was Shayna Rubin or it was Madeline Kenny. I haven't memorized those two women's voices to distinguish between them two, but one or the other was asking about how I'm losing my train of thought. One or the other was asking about how the bench is man, now I'm forgetting the chemistry. It'll come back to me in a minute, but body language, guys weren't talking enough. Oh, so she was talking about the celebrations on the bench. Could the bench, a la Kent Bazemore, let's do this. So let's talk about that. We're dovetailing into chemistry. So now we're talking about chemistry, and we're at the 44-minute mark. So 44-minute mark, team chemistry, bench celebrations. So I would expect both of those writers write for the Mercury, and I would expect an article coming soon about bench celebrations, because here's an example of maybe they were spurred on by the retweets of this. Kent Bazemore. Kent Bazemore. What the heck is his handle? 24 Bazemore. So he's saying underappreciated part of the game. This whole celebrating, you can see the Bazemore 3 celebration. Jordan Poole, Zaza, Quinn Cook, Juan and Gary. I believe that's Gary. Let's see. Yep, Juan and Gary. People forget Gary was on the bench a lot. Juan and Damion. So where is that this season? And I think it also gets into the gift and curse of a deep bench. Right? So I thought about this as well on the drive back when I was thinking about what questions we would ask CJ Holmes this time around. We've touched on this before where the bench being so deep has a dark underbelly, or you could call it a gift and a curse, as Andre Iguodala loves to preach. So you have this deep bench. It's so talented, and a lot of them were signed for many years, especially the rookies on rookie scale contracts. And so it's like, the problem with that is we don't have anybody that's sort of happy to be here, just happy to be here with the guaranteed contract, a la, I mean, not that they sucked or anything, but I mean, I'm just sort of labeling it as a happy to be here contract, be it Damion Lee, Quinn Cook, Jordan Bell, Juan Toscano-Anderson, at the time Gary Payton, but kudos to Gary, he turned that into $9 million a year. These guys that are at the end of the bench who can contribute every now and then, Leandro Barbosa, Mo Speights, who can probably play more minutes on another team, but are on the Warriors to just do what they do in those short bursts of time that they get. And the rest of the time, just cheer like crazy on the bench, right? Support your teammates. Well, we don't really have those guys anymore, right? You don't expect that from the two-way guys that are sort of two ways. Like, they're not guaranteed contracts anyway. So inherently, two-way guys don't feel like they're Damion Lee or Bazemore or Juan Toscano-Anderson or Quinn Cook or Jordan Bell. They just don't feel like it. I mean, they'll try to celebrate and all that. And plus, Ty Jerome and Anthony Lamb are more veterans, which also Steve talked about, which we can get into as well. Which, by the way, leads me to think maybe my theory's blown. Maybe Ty and Anthony will continue to play even against the Cavs, the taller Cavs, where I thought maybe Moody and JK would get more minutes. Even JaMychal would get more minutes just because of their height against the Cavs, which, shortest guy outside of Darius Garland is like, 6'5" or something. But anyway, Karis LeVert, like 6'4", 6'5". I mean, they have two guys that are under 6'6". It's crazy, at least in their main rotation. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But we don't really have these guys that are so such a defined role. Like Moody's role can expand at any given point in time because he's so talented. JK's role can expand at any given time. Even Wiseman can play like really great, and maybe you ride Wiseman a bit, but Wiseman's different. We can talk about that too. The more I think about it, the more that the 5 is such a different position. in the NBA than 1, 2, 3, or 4. Like it's gotten more and more. There's more disparity between the 5 and the 4, 3, 2, 1, obviously. But back in the day, a 5 and a 4, wasn't that far off. Like Horace Grant back in the day was playing like a 5 would play now. And it's probably too slow, believe it or not, to play the 4 in this era, even though he is the prototypical 4 of the old era. So I think back to the whole deep roster theory, like it's a gift and it's a curse because not only do you have guys that aren't signed to do one thing and cheer, like Jonathan Kuminga doesn't have a contract. His contract in the NBA wasn't signed for him to do one thing and cheer the rest of the time that he's not doing the one thing, right? Same thing with Moody. Same thing with Wiseman. Same thing with Patrick Baldwin Jr. Same thing with Ryan Rollins, right? So you're seeing the curse of the deep roster, which is the deep talented roster. The curse is we don't have any Bazemores. We don't have any Damion Lees. We don't have any Quinn Cooks, Mo Speights, Leandro Barbosa, Jordan Bell. We don't have those to kind of spark the energy off the bench. We just don't have that type of a spark. Now, Moody today, after practice, said that, okay, I will try to do better on that. But I can't expect him to. I'm not going to throw him under the bus if he doesn't. And so that is my long-winded way of saying, wow, we got a deep bench, but it's a gift and it's a curse. So let me see. Bazemore, I mentioned, Mo Speights, Barbosa, Jordan Bell, Quinn Cook, ATA, Damion. So I wanted to put that in the comments. Even GP2, really. Not the comments, the description. What else you got for me? Let's see if Charlie's on the way. Hopefully he is. Don't know. So I think that kind of also gets into the, again, same thing with the communication is that we're learning from Looney. If you can go watch the Looney interview from yesterday, he gave out so many great, secrets of being a center. And a lot of it is you just have to be vocal. Even if you're making the wrong read, you have to be vocal and just go with the wrong read so that we're all on the same page, even though we're reacting to this point of initiation on the play. We're reacting to it wrong as a defense, but at least we're all on the same page rather than being on separate pages completely. That was an interesting example Looney brought up yesterday. So go watch that interview. It was pretty awesome. It's all these things that aren't covered by aggregators and, whoever they hired by, the traditional media guys. I don't want to pick on the cable company, but, whoever they hired for that to run the social media, those ones where Donte DiVincenzo says, Steph is such a, down to earth leader. That one's going to get clicks. But the part about where he listens and he wants you to give different perspectives and he's hard on himself as well. He'll get on Klay, he'll get on Draymond, but he'll also get on himself. All of those little tidbits you don't see because they're not retweetable things and they're not social media friendly sound bites. You got to catch those. You just got to go to our channel and watch the whole thing. I'm sorry, there's no other way to do it. Now, I'd love to do stuff on Instagram. And by the way, I'm still looking for somebody to help me with that. So if anybody out there watches all of our videos and wants to help out, I will pay you to help us market those sound bites on TikTok and Instagram and things like that. Still looking for a hired position part-time or marketing on TikTok, Instagram, etc. Somebody did email me, but I can't find that email. It's like lost because I've mentioned this one other time and they immediately emailed me and I wasn't able to get to it. I wasn't ready to hire anybody at that point, but now I am. So I'm still looking for somebody. So if you know anybody that watches all of our videos, just digests everything, can find a 15-second clip that's high basketball IQ or promotes positivity, that would be great. Like the stuff that isn't being covered, we want to highlight that because that's what we are. That's what Let's Go Warriors is all about. It's just that I haven't really had time to throw the gauntlet down and state that that's our identity. I'm trying to figure it out too as we go. We got a game Friday. Tomorrow I want to do this or that video, a Wiseman article. It gets a little busy, so it's hard to find our own identity at times. So we're going through what the Warriors are going through, and maybe we're not, and maybe I'm just making that up. But it's fun to make believe that we're kind of the channel itself. I myself are going through these growing pains, anyways. Just like any new basketball team, let alone the Warriors. All right, next one, Moody. Yeah, I was a little surprised by Moody's point of attack defense lately. I thought it would be better. Picked up a couple fouls really early. So my thoughts on Moody, point of attack defense could be better. But overall, I can't complain, man. This guy's a second-year guy and wise beyond his years. So wise beyond his years. Like, he just picks up stuff and he's very calm about everything. I would love someday to interview his mom or something and just ask her, how the heck is Mosey? Yeah, she's not going to want to come on to this live stream if I'm doing the Kendrick Perkins Mosey Moody. No. How is Moses so freaking calm with everything? You just don't find that in 19, now 20-year-olds, right? But overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with Moody. I don't have a whole lot of complaints on that. But yeah, just the point of attack on the screen, yeah. Puzzling to me. And so that goes right into the theme, I thought, the theme of this whole live stream, 58:15 mark. Does the subpar defense of JP and Moody indicate championship and or extension hangover? I wonder, is it harder for youngsters to get over hangovers like these? What do you think? So that's a theory I would love to bounce off of people in basketball. Bounce off of Steve Kerr would be nice. Man, I could go do a report on these. It's just that it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for me to drag my body over to Chase Center for a practice and to get Steve Kerr. And if I don't get Steve Kerr on that day, I'm not going back. Like there's that risk too. I'm telling you, when I see CJ Holmes grinding the way he is on the beat, much respect from me because I've learned over the years, and basically what happened in Denver when I walked through the snow and I wasn't carrying a professional camera, and I had my iPhone 12, my iPhone 10, and my iPhone 6 as a backup to the backup going, and the and some of some of the kids on YouTube would criticize me for that. Like there was no, I mean, that led to me eventually wondering, what am I doing this for? I want to just be appreciated, and I really want 100% of the people to appreciate it. I don't want that one bad apple to mess it up, and yeah, it is a bad apple, and I should ignore him. And it's like, but no, it's my life. I want to choose who I hang out with, and if one of the people out of 1,000 that I'm hanging out with is a bad apple, well, then that just ruined it. So why would I want to go out, drag my body out to practice, especially through the snow on um what do you call it? Graveyard flights, red eye flights. I don't know why red eye didn't come to me right there. Red eye flights, and man, you could pay me, but if there's no guarantee of payment, like, oh, I'm only going to get 1,000 views or 5,000 views, forget it. No, but you could pay me. So maybe I'll set up a GoFundMe. Maybe we'll just talk about that as we go, but by then, by the time we raise enough money to make it worthwhile for me to drag my body out to practice, to look for parking, to walk to Chase, to go down the stairs, to go wait for Steve, and then wait some more, and then wait, hurry up and wait, like it is in journalism. That's like, you better pay me at least, a few $100 to really drag my body through that. And I just don't know that people want to do that. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, we could come together and do a GoFundMe where we get 250 people to chip in $1 or whatever it is. Then I could do it. I could foresee myself doing that and asking Steve, hey, so what do you think, man? You think, JP, you think this is a championship plus extension signing hangover? Because we're starting to think it is over here on Let's Go Warriors channel, which, by the way, generally thinks you're a good guy and everything, not like Twitter, So your answer to us will be appreciated. You taking the time to answer my question here is actually worth your time, because you guys, the audience, you deserve information like that. So circumstances in which I would go interview her for a nugget of information. And then I think we would get a pretty cool, awesome answer. And maybe part of it, he would go, can I tell you off the record? And he might go, and this is all, I'm just making this up. Disclaimer to aggregators out there. He could go, off the record, yeah, you're probably right. But on the record, I'm not going to throw JP under the bus. So here's my philosophical take on all those things. So we're going to get buckets worth. Going to get Charlie on here pretty soon. I'm excited. Yeah, I know, right? Social media for you. Yeah, have we been running way less split actions? We're doing more of the handoff thing with Looney. So 104 mark. I noticed that last game. Have we been doing less split actions? Seen Looney doing handoffs and action off of the fake handoff or handoff. But with Wiseman doing pick and roll with JP, I would say for the bench, yeah. That's something to look out for next game. And then again, once you get Donte back, then you're getting a guy who can penetrate and kick out. So you don't necessarily need split action with Donte. And maybe that's it, right? Maybe we uncovered something just by talking about it out loud. Let's see. So Donte with Wiseman didn't require split action due to Dante's ability to penetrate, get in the paint. So maybe those habits spread into the second unit where we couldn't really do split action, and hence the stagnation. We've seen it. We've seen a lot of stagnation. Doesn't matter if it's Ty Jerome, JP, overall pretty much stagnation. I mean, credit Ty Jerome. Things go haywire. He takes it to the hole. Floater you didn't know he had, right? But that wasn't split action, so that's my long take on that. Team needs to take a week-long vacation. Yeah, so maybe these 3 days will equate to a mini vacation. Maybe these 3 days off equate to a mini vacation. Right in there. Oh, we got some news. We got some news. Breaking news. Breaking news, my friends. It looks like we're going to have Monty Poole on later. That's exciting. If we can just hold on here and just keep going. Let's see. Totally get what our young talents want to do on the court. But what Steve wants is to do the dirty work and to get theirs within the flow of the offense. Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about the bench chemistry here and some theories, some reasons rather than excuses, some silver linings, some half glass full explanations as to why they may be struggling. And I do think Donte can cure a lot of that just from his skill and his talent and the way that he plays the game, just the way that he plays the game, right? It's very deliberate. And yeah, I'm with you on that, Anthony, and as far as I was frustrated as to the second unit always being stagnated. So maybe that's why, like, we weren't, we didn't necessarily have Looney out there that we could run split action off of. Didn't necessarily have Draymond out there that we could. And maybe the conscious decision by the coaching staff was, let's not mess it up too much because we're still going to get Donte back. It's a hamstring. It's not like more serious than a hamstring. So maybe let's just keep it pick and roll with Wiseman, with whoever's out there, Looney, JaMychal. I'm sure they ran high pick and roll with J Mike as well, rather than split action stuff, which J Mike probably doesn't run as well. That whole split action stuff. But I thought overall we did run split action pretty well in terms of that handoff option. So you'd pass to Steph would pass to Looney or Draymond, and they would have the option of handing it back to Steph or keeping it, go around the corner, turn the corner, or find the next guy in the rotation of the split action, or hand off to Steph. And then at that moment, I remember vividly against Sacramento, at that moment in time, Klay or whoever it was, could be Moody, whoever, would cut from the corner to on the baseline, and his defender would get caught looking at Steph. Boom, you got a back door. Boom, that's a layup for whoever it was. I think it was Klay, but it might have been Moody as well. So you got those kinds of actions that you can run. So back to Damion. I never said Damion was bad at his role. So, but I guess that's what Jiggy's saying. Man, why are you? Let's time out Jiggy, man. Come on, man. You threw Damion under the bus for no reason. Oh, we got Charlie here. Let me just catch up on some of these. What's up, Daniel? Twitter has a new problem. Yep. We don't even need to tell him, Bruce. We don't even need to tell him. There was somebody that pretended they were Adam Schefter, and then somebody pretended they were LeBron and bought the Twitter blue check, and everybody thought it was different. Oh, boy. Anyway, have I talked to Hazel or Aisha? Not officially, like not as, just in passing, but I don't really have a great relationship with either. I have a better relationship with Mary Babers, which, by the way, Draymond's mom, she was going to come on today, but they have some family thing that's going on back east. So anyways, JK to run split actions. I think JK is running split actions, but he's more of the four in those actions. So, but I think he's doing it. Should Klay? Oh boy, Pacino, you're gonna get Charlie on you right here. But anyways, the legend himself, Charlie, you ready? Oh, there he is.
1 second, Rich. I'm about to get some AirPods. Hang on.
Okay,
These AirPods.
I'll mute you real quick.
All right.
Oh, I thought I muted you. Hold on, let me do that. They paid too much money for JP. Well, okay. I guess we got to talk about this again. First of all, hold on. Do you want me to text you the link or email? If we can hang on for another hour and a half, then we'll get Monty Poole at the end of it. Let's see. Where are we? Oh, they paid too much money for JP. Yeah. Let's look. Stop screen, share screen. Let's look up Oops Hype salaries, Warrior salaries. Have it saved here because we always access it. First off, JP's making 3.9 this year. Maybe you know that already. But he's still on rookie scale this year, so we're getting him for a bargain at 3.9. But as far as paying them too much money, how can you pay him too much money when probably the most similar comp to Jordan Poole was signed like a week before Jordan Poole was signed? So what are you going to do once Miami signs Tyler Herro for 120? I mean, what are you going to do? Like, So 27 mil, 29 mil. You know, he's a pretty close comp to Jordan Poole. Quasi sixth man. Can start if you need him to. Jordan Poole's getting similar money as Tyler Herro, although it increases. When you have that in the marketplace already, I mean, you're pretty much stuck. You pretty much have no choice but to pay him what the market value is. So you've got to understand that, like, you can't really judge the NBA in a vacuum. You have to understand market value and stuff like that. So, you know, you go back to this. If you say that, then I could say that, Steph Curry's underpaid, right? He's underpaid. But that's looking at it in a vacuum. He's paid as much as we can pay him per the rules. And so that's what his salary is. And so that allows teams like Miami to pay Tyler Herro more than probably what he's worth right now. But it only takes one comparable to then set the price of the others. In real estate, if the house down the block gets sold, if my house is worth, 500,000 and the house down the block gets sold for 750,000, guess how much my house is worth now? 750,000. That's how it works. So don't give me that, oh, he's paid too much. No, it's like the real estate market. The comparable goes up, then your value goes up, and that's how it is. Charlie's here. All right. Can you hear us all right, Charlie? Oh, wait, remove. Why can't I see you? Huh. Oh, he's stuck. He's stuck. Huh. Charlie, I think it's your internet. Not sure. But 115 mark. Why Jordan Poole is actually worth the 123 million because of Tyler Herro. So you needed to keep, oh, there's Charlie. You needed to keep JP. You can't let him go. I mean, we're going to lose a talent like that. So the only way to keep him is to pretty much come up with a salary that's commensurate with the market, which is Tyler Herro. But then I see Charlie froze again. Let's see if this works. Let's give it a try. Nope, didn't work. Oh, there he is. All right, Charlie, what's up?
What's going on, Rich? How are you?
I'm good. Charlie Torres, aka Bucketsworth, Klay's trainer, now on the live. Let's get that up, and then let's do that. All right. So, how you been?
I've been good, busy. I coach at a prep school called Veritas, and one of our players just committed to UMass, so we're at his signing party right now.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right. So I guess we got to talk about Klay, and I figure I want to start with something that I hit you up about earlier, which is when I noticed on the road trip, seemed like Klay was getting shots off from a more off balance stance now. And stance, inside joke. He's Klay seems to me like he's more willing to get off shots where he doesn't really necessarily have his feet set. And I wonder if if that's on purpose in terms of like, okay, I'm kind of ramping back up, and in the process of ramping back up, I mean, just to get off a shot quicker. So have you noticed that? And also in general, what have you noticed lately during this ramp up for Klay?
Yeah, I think for most people, like we call it the flow state. When you're feeling it, you shoot a lot of off balance shots, obviously. But
Flow
with
state.
him, yeah, with him, I think he's feeling his legs getting better, healthier, running the way he's used to running, jumping the way he's used to jumping. So when you have that, I mean, you feel more comfortable kind of getting shots up over people and shooting quicker, and not worrying about like kind of like, oh, am I going to be able to like rise on this shot and shoot this? Am I going to be able to get it off quick enough? Things like that. So I don't really take too much from it. Actually, I like when guys fade away on shots. I like when, I mean, especially early on in the game, like Michael Jordan would do that first touch fade away, and that kind of gets you a rhythm. Michael Jordan was so good at getting to his flow state because he worked on getting to his flow state, and that's like something that we kind of work on indirectly with Klay. Like we start a lot of mid post fadeaways, catch and shoot fadeaways to start our workouts, just to kind of get his rhythm going, and
Awesome.
kind of get more confident. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's great. So it's like he's modeling his game after an aspect of Michael Jordan.
A lot of the shooting stuff I've done. I have a video that I send all my players, and actually Alonzo Trier, who was on the Knicks, he was one of the first guys that mentioned it to me. He's like, man, if I start running away after a shot, like I feel really comfortable. I feel like it's already in, and the ball's not even halfway to the rim. So I started to look at guys' feet, and one of the first shots I saw was it was Game 6 at Utah. Michael Jordan came off the pin down and he shot fadeaway. It might have been Game 5, I'm not sure, but he shot a fadeaway his first touch, and like the ball didn't even leave his hand yet, and he's on a backwards home run trot, and I was like, holy crap! And then I started reading about this things called flow state, which is basically when you're in your zone. And Michael Jordan worked mentally prepared to be in the zone all the time. Like as soon as his first touch, like people send me stuff about MJ all the time. Yesterday I posted the Byron Scott story about Anthony Peeler. Michael Jordan was like, hey, who's guarding me today? I heard you're not playing, B. Scott. He's like, yeah, I'm not. I sprained my ankle. Like, Anthony Peeler's got you. He goes, 50. like that's the kind of like a flow. He already the game was done in his head, and that's the kind of mental preparation you have to have with 82 games, with the kind of defenses and things that people are throwing at guys now. You just got to be ready for everything, and you have to be confident. So, yeah,
That's amazing. So you said I'm trying to find it. First of all, the one where you said you saw MJ was backpedaling already, the full
Yep.
confidence in the shot. Which game was that?
It was either Game 5 or 6. I'm not sure, but he came off the pin down right in the middle of the key, and I mean, like, just water, liquid. Like, net didn't even move, and you can tell when someone. So the video I have that I sent to my players, I have 4 guys on there. Alonzo Trier's one because I noticed it with him, and he's the one that told me. The other 3 was Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, and Kevin Durant. So they would hop and run away from the hoop when the ball is not even like on the way, like it's not even there. You know what I mean? They're already doing this home run trot, and they're super light on their toes.
That's
So
it.
there's something to that. Steph does it a lot too. I just didn't put Steph on the video because then we would have had 3 Warriors on the video. So and then Kemba's much smaller, so I wanted to have like guys that my players could relate to. Like Kevin Durant 7 foot, Klay 6'7", Alonzo Trier is like 6'4", 6'5", and then Kemba's 5'9", 5'10". So I just wanted to make it relatable.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So someone thought you were Drake. Sorry to disappoint you, Bruce. No, I'm kidding. I'll take that as
Yeah.
a compliment, man.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Got the beard going. So overall, okay, this is what a fan's gonna ask you right now. Is gonna say,
Sure.
how much longer do you think Klay needs before he's up to whatever, we could say 100%, whatever that means. But and none of us, the other, so I'd like you to answer that specific question, which is like, how much longer do you think? But then really just get into all the ramifications of it. But then also, none of us are Nostradamus. None of us can say, oh, Klay is going to be back to all-star level and back to all defensive level. The way I'm trying to teach people is you can either look at the glass half empty or half full. I'm going to choose to look at it glass half full. I'm going to say Klay is going to get back to all-star and all defense. And guess what? Klay better say that too, because he's got to envision that to get back to that point anyways. So I believe he'll get back to that level. But what about you? Just everything about that. Go ahead.
Like we spoke, before, but I tore my knee up, 3 or 4 weeks before Klay did. So,
wow, man, maybe I missed that. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I tore my knee 4 weeks before. I think he did in the finals. So we were both kind of rehabbing around the same time, and at some point even together. And one of the things that I learned, because it was new to me too. This was both of our our first injuries. Apprehension is the craziest thing. Like, you can be the most mentally strong guy, and you're still gonna think that there's something going on in there. So even though your body might be 100%, in your mind you're like at 90. In your mind you're at 85. And I actually had Kevin Durant and Klay in the gym, and KD was coming off his Achilles, and Klay looked like he was 100%, and KD looked like he was like at 85. And unfortunately, 4 or 5 weeks later was when Klay tore his Achilles. But there's a lot of doubt that ends up getting in your mind, and Klay's so strong mentally, and I see him as 100%. That's how I see him. And I think he's going to be able to play this game for a lot longer than people think, just because of how well he shoots it and how smart he is in the game. And, he just knows how to play. That's why I liked him when he was in high school. When I saw him in high school, I was like, man, this kid is making plays that most high school kids don't make, because they're just trying to do too much. He's keeping it very simple. And then, obviously he grew a little bit. He got a little more athletic. He worked on his body. He worked on his game. And then, he's a 4-time champion. I don't even know how many All-Stars off the top of my head. And USA team, gold medalist, and all those accolades. So there's, it's just pretty cool. Like, I think the challenge.
Oops. Uh-oh. Hopefully Charlie will get back. Klay ready to go. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Hang on, people. Hang on. All right. That gave me a moment to post our link on Instagram and stuff. So let me post more of this on Instagram. Oh, and good news is we're gonna have Monty Poole on. If we can just hang on another, hour or something. I don't know. Even if we don't, we can always come back. We can come back to Monty Poole as well, and Charlie, by any chance he continues to have internet problems over at the celebration they're having for one of their guys getting signed by UMass, which is an incredible achievement. Any Division One scholarship is amazing to me, because that's, if you convert that to an actual dollar value, that's pretty impressive. So no worries on Charlie. He's already told us a lot, even if he's unable to come back. Oh, here he is. Maybe he's ready. Let's see. What's up?
Hey, sorry about that.
No worries. So I think you were just about to say something to the effect of when you think Klay will be back, and you were thinking Klay is 100%. Can you expound on that just a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, just talking about apprehension. Like, I think his
Yeah.
body is physically 100%, and I think
Gotcha.
his mind is probably close to 100, if not already there. But you got to understand, I mean, he's playing against the best people on the planet, where every single game, like the Orlando Magic, for instance, like that was their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, they get everyone's best shots. That's what's going to happen. So, even when, like, there's no days off in the NBA when you're the Warriors. So it is going to take some time. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, I think that goes with anything basketball. Like, I was telling people in the chat, this reminds me of, my men's league, my rec league. Like, we didn't have it figured out even after like 4 games, and there's like 10 games on the schedule.
Yeah.
Things like that. It just takes some time, and sometimes you got to figure out what you got to figure out. Like, you don't even know, like. So, from your experience, especially as a coach with Veritas, do you kind of see the same thing? Like, how long does it take? How many games do you have in your schedule? At is this a high school?
It's a national prep school, so we've played the number 2 team in the nation twice already.
There you go. Okay, so how many games total will you play, and how many games does it take you to figure out what you got to figure out?
So last year we had really intelligent pieces. Like, we had 3 seniors that were really smart. So it took us probably about 3 weeks worth of games. Maybe, like, I don't know what that would be. Maybe 7 or 6 games. Probably it took us about 6 games. And this year's team, it's taken us a lot longer because we have new pieces, and we don't necessarily have the IQ. Even though, like, we're way more talented than we were last year, this year's team is just younger and relies more on their athletic ability and their skill set. And we're just trying to figure everyone out.
Sounds a lot like the Warriors, actually.
Yeah, it's the second unit. The second unit is trying to figure each other out. Nothing looks good when you're not making shots. Especially if you're in a system like with the States. So when things start to drop, I mean, and you get guys that are 100% and they start to get a rhythm. I mean, look at the Dodgers. Like, all those wins were basically for nothing at this point.
Yeah, baseball's a tough game.
Exactly, but I also remember, there was, what year was that? Was it 16? I don't know if it was 2016 or 17, where Klay started off really slow, and everyone thought he was in a slump. And in my head, Klay had no idea he was in a slump. Like, he was just, he didn't have a break. He went from the finals to Team USA.
Yep.
They went. We shot one day, and he was too tired to shoot before he had to go back to camp with the Warriors. So we shot one day. I think it was like 4 days before Labor Day. So, like, and then again, he's coming on for 2 years. Like, he had. I mean, that's, I can only imagine. Like, I hurt my knee 3 years ago. Today was one of the first times I've played in 3 years, and there's still all kinds of apprehension, But for Klay to come off of 2 serious injuries, like an Achilles and knee back to back, like, and people expect him to be at the highest level. I mean, yeah, he's gonna make shots, he's gonna have great games, but there's also gonna be some ups and downs, and the ups and downs are gonna look worse because the team isn't rolling like they were in 2016-17. So when Klay wasn't playing that well, like, you know, everyone else was playing well, so the team was doing great. You know?
Great point right there.
Yeah.
Because it does come down to the team wins the wins and loses the losses. So yeah, it's gonna look worse, and it has looked worse. But that's just sort of the knee-jerk reactions that you get, and sort of the social media era. But yeah, Klay's been vocal lately, and I think it's good. I think he's standing up for, in my mind, the way that I look at social media these days and what we're trying to do here on Let's Go Warriors. I like it because he's humanizing himself. He's kind of like, wait a minute, Chuck, excuse me,
Yeah.
Barkley, I'm a human being again, and you're on your platform of millions. You just signed $200 million contract for 10 more years, man. You don't need to throw me under the bus like that. And then the Ronnie 2K thing was just, I think it was just man, I don't know what he was thinking giving Klay an 88 on 3-pointers, but does he ever talk to you about those kinds of things? I mean, you don't have to reveal inside or secrets among friends or jokes and stuff, but I think it'd be kind of cool, like, you're shooting around, you're doing your drills, all of a sudden he sits down and goes, man, Charlie, did you see my 3-point rating? It's at 88. So how does those break down with you?
Well, I definitely bring that stuff up, and we have conversations in between shots or in between like water breaks and stuff. And I mean, I think it shows the kind of guy Klay is for acknowledging or just saying, like, hey, I'm sorry, Ronnie, I didn't mean to cyberbully you like that. Play close to that, because I was on the same thing. Like, obviously I'm team Klay 100%. So when Klay wasn't, like this, when he was pissed off at Ronnie, I was pissed off at Ronnie. Like I don't know the guy, so I'm gonna have my guy Klay's back. So
yeah,
that's
by the way, Ronnie did kind of do a mea culpa. He went to the Warriors game and had like a sign that said, "Oh, I'm sorry." It was all in good fun. So kudos to Ronnie.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, there's, Klay's super competitive, and when someone's like really competitive, you can say one thing that can like really light a fire, and sometimes you don't even have to say anything. I mean, guys like that are Michael Jordan, and like Michael Jordan was just making his own, enemies up in his head. He was creating fictional characters for him to be the greatest ever. So there's definitely an edge, and I like when Klay has that edge. And it's when you got him with an edge, and Steph with an edge, and Draymond with an edge, and some of these younger guys, they end up having an edge. Now you have the Warriors, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, speaking of Klay and the edge, I remember when he's real focused, like during his rehab, he doesn't want any distractions. So, and he doesn't want to be put under the microscope. So it was like before a game, he'd come out. This was when he wasn't playing, but he was getting shots up before a game, put on the headband, put on the jersey, because he's super competitive like that. But then I hadn't even pulled my phone out. He was yelling at the NBC Sports Bay Area cameraman.
Yeah.
And then like a year later, I got a lot of flack for this because of how it is on social media, but I was filming him at practice and he was yelling at us not to film him. And that's just, again, is competitive fire. For the social media aggregators out there, it wasn't just directed at me. It was directed at media that were all there that had their phones out and stuff. And it's just funny how that one kind of took off. So there's some people on the internet who think Klay hates me, but we all know that's not personal. It's just Clay's just being competitive. So that's
And it's
yeah.
and even for
I like
myself, Rich, like I wasn't really trying to do the thing on Instagram mainly because of Klay didn't like it either, So I'm not really out there only until recent where like and the guy that runs Switch Cultures played at Stanford, so a lot of those videos like Klay
Jordan.
grew up playing. Not Jordan, it's actually Jordan's one of them. But
Anthony Goods, my bad.
Anthony Goods,
Oh,
yeah, Goods. So Klay grew up playing with Goods and working out with Goods. So
Oh,
that's why I'm like, hey, I'm gonna send this to Goods. Like, oh yeah, for sure. So it's different. You get things like there's a different kind of relationship when it's Anthony Goods, someone who he competed with, played with.
yeah.
He's been in the same grind. But yeah.
By the way, people who don't know, Anthony Goods, one of the founders of Swish Cultures, one of the most liked basketball Instagram accounts because he just keeps it real. Goods played in Europe for many years, and
Yes.
the way he approaches the game is from a high basketball IQ standpoint. And I knew him when so back in the day I brought Jeremy Lin to one of the workouts in Burlingame, and Anthony Goods was one of the guys there working under Blake Griffin's draft trainer, Frank Matriciano. So there's a lot of connections out there. And I just wanted to point out Anthony Goods is one of the good guys out there.
Oh yeah.
If
Well, I met him through one of the original good guys, which was Landry Fields.
So
right. That's how I met it. That's how I met Anthony Goods. I met him through Landry Fields. So.
Okay, I have just one more question for you, and then I'll let you go celebrate. And that is, we've been talking about defense, and we've been talking about Jordan Poole's defense and things like that. Klay's defense, which I find so impressive at all areas of the floor. I mean, it's not just point of attack, but it's also when he gets switched with the big man, he's for a two guard, like he's immovable. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
where did he get that? And can that be taught to someone like Jordan Poole?
I think it can, but it's just like a competitive drive and a want thing. I mean, Klay had to play big in high school, even though he's around 6'4", 6'5", just like Mikey, his brother. Mikey was like a fourth. Like Mikey played anywhere from 3 through 5. So, and Mikey's a big dude too. So, like for Klay to be guarding Mikey growing up, and a lot of these other guys, like it all comes back to how competitive you are, and how much you just say, hey, forget this. Like I just want to stop the guy in front of me, and I don't want him to score, or I'm going to give this foul and let the switch end up coming back. Let us rematch out of the dead ball. So, because even Klay, like, I mean, whether it was before the injury or after, like he's never been a wow you athletic guy, but before the injury, I mean, he was guarding Kyrie, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin, like all those dudes, Kobe. So, I think it's also a confident thing where Klay had nowhere to run, like it was sink or swim, and as competitive he was, and you're stopping Kobe, you're stopping KD and James and Russ, Chris Paul, like that obviously helps your defensive prowess grow. And but the competitive drive to keep someone in front of you and stop them from scoring, like that's sometimes that's in here, like that it's bigger than something else, like I've been working with Stanley Johnson all month, since he's been down from Utah, and like my whole right shoulder is completely just fried from bumping with him. I mean, this is a guy that bumps. Yeah, he bumps centers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I played today, and I was like, why does my arm hurt? And I was like, oh, dude, I've been bumping Stan. So, but there's got to be there's got to be a mental thing. It's got to be and you just got to want to do it, and not just for yourself. Like you got to want to do it for your teammates. Like, hey, I want to stop this guy so that my teammates will understand that I have their back. I don't want to.
Good stuff. So last one, I wanted the comments to be able to ask something. Here's the last one for you. What's one thing that Klay does way better now than before the injuries?
I think he's putting the ball down a lot. Sometimes too quick, but finishing. I know he missed a couple of bunnies. I think it was the Orlando game. I was watching it last night. I got to go back and watch it. I've been really busy, so I haven't been able to keep up with everyone's missed field goals yet. But finishing, he looked unreal in the summer, and we spent a lot of time on just shooting off balance shots out of triple threat, getting back to his shot fake, and then shooting from sides he doesn't like shooting from. So like if the defender's on his right hip, he can pick the ball up from his left hip and shoot. So yeah, a lot of it is. I mean, we have to go back to stuff that was natural. And you're coming off injury, so you got to get back. You got to get that feeling back. And it's totally different too. Like I'm Klay shooting shots against me or against my interns that are bigger and longer and more athletic that are helping guard him. You can make 400 of those shots, but when the lights are on and there's 2 minutes left, I mean, like it's going to take some real game-like failure for it to turn into game-like results and positive. So you still have to go through that, just like the Warriors are as a team. They have to go through some bumps and bruises because the team's different. Toscano's not there. Gary Payton's gone. There's a lot of new people in that second unit. So it's definitely going to take some time to kind of get everyone to gel.
Man, thank you so much. I mean, some of the stuff that you've been saying, like right there, going to take some real game-like failure for game-like results. Like, I would have played for you, man. I would have played for you. You could be my coach anytime, man. It's those.
I appreciate it, man. It's definitely my calling. Last night I was on Cole Swider's podcast.
Yeah.
And he's injured right now, but like that was pretty surreal too because he was saying the same thing. Like, man, I've been to 2-year prep games, and he's like, man, I want to play for you. Like, I want, like, when I'm injured or I'm going through something and I'm not making shots, like, I know that you're going to be there to get my head on straight. So,
yep.
I really, that's one of the best compliments I could take. I just took it right now as Marquis signing, the kid that's going to UMass. Like, he had mentioned something like that, and his mom did as well. And hearing that from you was like reassurance. Like I know this is my gift, and this is what I do, and why I do it. So,
which is why I don't need to put 2 and 2 together for you guys on the chat, but that's why he's Klay's trainer, my friends. It all adds up.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, thanks so much for taking time out of your celebration. Go back, celebrate, man.
All right.
We appreciate that. We all do, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it, Rich. Anytime. I'm going to be up there pretty soon, so I'll check in with you as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Yep.
See ya.
Later, man. Thanks.
Later. Man, is he awesome or what? I mean, I can always count on Charlie to be a guest on here. I'm gonna tell. We can get Monty some other time. But from now on, we know Do you guys, okay, let's take a vote. Do you want to wait until 8:15? We got to go another hour. I can't keep it up in an hour. I don't know that I can keep it up. If Dean was here, maybe we could. And I did text Dean. I hope he's okay. Haven't heard back. But if we had Dean on here, I could kill an hour. But I think let's get you back some other time. No worries. Be in touch. I just don't know how I could keep going for another. If we had one more guest. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that I can go another hour. I mean, I probably could, but then I'd be really beat. And that's one thing that I've had to learn the hard way is also, I mean, let's face it, if we had 100 concurrents right now, I would try and do it. But we have you, gracious 41 people. By the way, everyone, please splash that like button. Let's see, did I tweet out? I hope I tweeted out Charlie on here. Who cares though, right? Let's see. Yeah, did have Bucketsworth on there. Everyone follow Bucketsworth. Everyone also please follow Charlie on IG at Bucketsworth. But then also splash the like button. All right, other topics. Anybody got other topics? We've covered a whole slew of things. Klay, going back in reverse chronological order. Jordan Poole, the split actions, Moody, the bench celebrations, Donte DiVincenzo's interview, and we had CJ Holmes to kick things off in terms of how he likes to plan his game day and execute on the 3 stories he's got to write every night, which is insane. Imagine you were running, a newspaper, a blog, whatever, Let's Go Warriors, and you had a writer out there, and you basically gotta go, hey, you got to write 3 articles for me. So to pay somebody full-time salary to go write 3 articles, so it's very demanding, and being on the road is very difficult as well. So thank you to CJ Holmes for being on here. We haven't covered whether Draymond punching Jordan Poole has ended up making it more difficult for Draymond to yell at guys when they aren't performing well. What do you think? I think so. Is it harder now for Draymond to yell at guys? Bad play. And if the answer is yes, then my counsel to him is that if you can't do that right now, if you are learning to be a leader in terms of not yelling at somebody, but trying to get through to them, which he tried to do. Steph Curry last week said that Draymond told the guys in the locker room that guys are, our opponents are going to come after us because we're the champs, we're the defending champs, and so on and so forth. I'm going to guess that maybe he wasn't as, he wasn't yelling that, so that's a good gross speculation to have, I think. So if he is at a point where he's not yelling at people, my counsel to him would be, why not just change your personality? Here's a good opportunity to just not be the guy that was on the edge all the time. Can he still be Hall of Famer Draymond? I think so. Because the one example I use is myself. Like, I used to be, when I was younger, super fiery, angry type player. Like, any little mistake, I got mad. Whether it was me, I get mad at myself. My teammate, I get mad at him. Or the referee, or the other team. The other team trash talks me. And again, this is just amateur level. This is just, I was playing as an amateur, men's rec league. Here in San Francisco, predominantly Asian guys, so not the most athletic guys. So at 6'1", I'm playing shooting guard, 6'4" is center, so, but relatively speaking, I was playing tons of basketball like I was an athlete, almost a part-time athlete, taking it very seriously. It was like my miniature NBA. I wanted to live it. I played basketball more than I watched basketball. And I was very fiery. And one day, even to the refs, they make a bad call, they're going to hear about it. I was one of those guys that fed off of negative energy. Believe it or not, I'm totally different now, obviously. But back then, one day I said to myself, this shit ain't working. I mean, it's working to a point, but it's draining my life force. It really is. It's starting to drain my life force. I'm not going to yell at the refs, and I'm not going to yell at pretty much anybody anymore. I'm going to try and enjoy this game. I'm going to try and be calm throughout. Even if a referee makes a bad call, like egregiously bad, I'm going to actively put my mind to it that I'm going to let that one go, because there's going to be a bad call coming up next. That's why, quite honestly, I first learned how not to get all upset about the refs. And, you saw me get upset at Bill Kennedy and Lauren Holtkamp doing this is a high five in Miami. No, it's not. That's a foul. But then against Sacramento, Klay fouled Huerter, and we saw it. You can see it on the reverse angle replay. He fouled him, and what goes around comes around. I mean, the basketball gods will try to even it out every now and then. And if the basketball gods don't try and even out what happened to the Sacramento Kings a couple times last week, then the Sacramento Kings are doing something else basketball-wise that's wrong, whether it's with the ownership group or whatever. But trust me, there's balance out there when it comes to basketball. When it comes to basketball, something is, non-life or death, something is, on the whole, what happens on the court, there's good and bad, and it all seems to balance out at the end. And the way that I'm able to look at it that way more easily than the average fan is because I went through it myself. Like, I had to just stop complaining to the refs inside of men's rec league games. Like, it wasn't doing any good. It wasn't doing any good when I was coaching. Like, you see Steve Kerr out there yelling at the refs so much. You guys should appreciate that, because my approach would be different. My approach is more Phil Jackson like just really never let any refs have it unless it's the one time where I knew strategically that I better let a ref have it. I think these refs in this day and age, some of the younger ones, you do need to work on them, like you see Steve on the sideline. So I tip my hat to Steve for yelling at certain refs at certain times. I think especially the younger ones, the younger refs that are kind of new to things, they need to know when they're screwing up. And then that can help you the next time down. And then you see in the next sequence, we get a call. I actually saw that in the Sacramento game. So I give kudos to Steve Kerr on politicking with the refs like that. And young guys have to learn that. Jordan Poole has to learn how to politic with the refs. And I don't know what he says on the court, so I can't really judge it. But I do know some of the times when he fouls a guy and then he argues like, no, man, you fouled the guy. So just play better defense. But yeah, maybe it's time for Draymond to change his personality a little bit to not always walk on that line. I think it can be done. I think he's that good. For someone to say that he can't do that, I think is a discredit to his skill and talent. So it's like the ability to access that skill and talent right now requires him to walk that line and be on the edge in terms of fieriness. We know that Klay has an edge, but it's not the same. Like Klay doesn't yell at referees when he's on the edge and things like that, right? So everyone has a different type of edge, and that's why I say Draymond should have a different type of edge, I think. So so yeah, I mean, you guys are probably thinking that Draymond probably can't change all that much. And I would probably agree with you, but I still also think that he can change. It's the same feeling I get in terms of I still think Klay can get back to all-star level and all defensive level together, like all NBA type player. Like, if there was a fourth team all NBA, because fourth or fifth team all NBA, because let's be reminded how talented and crazy athletic the NBA is. Guys like Jokic, LeBron, Giannis, Damian Lillard, Ja Morant. You start rattling off all these names. That's Klay is going to be on the fourth or fifth team all NBA if there was one. If he were to get his defense back to 100% and his offense back to 100%, you heard Charlie say that he believes his mind and body are pretty much there. It's just that sometimes there's apprehension. So in that way, my belief in Klay getting back to 100% is the same as my belief that Draymond could be able to tap his skill and talent in clutch moments without having to be fiery. I can envision that, actually. Like somebody says something to him and he goes over and shakes Grant Williams' hand. Like, that's a good comeback, bro. Just kind of flip it on its head, as Steph would say, and make Draymond like, it'd be like Anakin Skywalker becoming Obi-Wan Kenobi, just flip the anger into like, what do you call it? Joy, like how Steph has mastered that. But even if he doesn't, Draymond, that is, all we really care about is that he doesn't punch any youngsters anymore or anybody. And so that whole walking the line thing, I've been told by people in Draymond's circle that, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, he knows when not to punch somebody, just like he knows when not to punch a referee or an opponent. So it's kind of like, oh, no, okay, all right. Of course, we weren't there. Oh, and what if, here's a funny thing that you're never going to get on any live stream anywhere, any hot take anywhere, any radio station anywhere. So I would like to present my contrarian funny hot take of the night, which is what if the thing that Jordan Poole and Draymond were arguing about was championship and extension hangover, which many people speculate was extension related. Of course, I've heard that it wasn't any of that. Anyway, but it could have been, it just depends on how you interpret it. If you were there, if you were Ron Adams, and Ron Adams will never divulge what happened, or maybe he would next year. Maybe I'll track him down and just say, hey, can you just tell me what did Draymond and JP yell? Because you were right there. What if it was like Jordan Poole going off on something related to championship or extension? Because, and the reason why I bring it up is because to me, and again, I'm just theorizing here, but to me, Jordan Poole is on a championship plus extension hangover. The way he's playing, and a little bit of Moody. I think Moody's kind of got a little bit of that too. But I don't like throwing guys under the bus, so I don't mean that as a throw under the bus. Like if Moody was watching this live stream, if Jordan Poole were watching this live stream, they might take that. They might be like, no, that's not what it is. We're just not playing well, or, I'm just not playing great defense on the point of attack. And then I'll just go back to, well, because it's championship / extension hangover. like you're not playing well because I'm actually helping you out. I'm giving you a reason. The reason might sound embarrassing to you, but it isn't to us. It isn't to me. It isn't a bad thing to have a championship or extension signing hangover. When you're going out and you're out there with the intention of learning, I'm trying to learn if maybe younger players have a harder time of getting back into focus after championship. Now, Donte DiVincenzo would probably disagree but then he was at Villanova. They won multiple championships, but you got a college coach there, Jay Wright, that I don't know. It's a little different environment. I don't think you can compare. Maybe that's not apples to apples. But if we look back, who's won championships recently? Let's see. List of NBA champions. So the Raptors, that was the one that I brought up. Let's look at the Raptors, right? BKRef.com, Fred VanVleet. 2020. Of course, then now we can't even compare that because they had the bubble. So that's unfair. Had COVID. What we got to look back at 2017 and 18. The Warriors don't count because when did we last have a championship team that had a bunch of young guys on it that stayed on the team? Now you would say Toronto Raptors, but then you can't compare that because the next season was the COVID and the bubble. Too much time had passed. So then you go back to the Warriors with KD, no. Warriors with KD, no. Warriors blew a 3-1 lead, no, because they then got KD and got rid of Bogut, got rid of Harrison. 2015 to 2016, they were the young guys. And then the second season, they just were playing out of their minds because they had figured it out. So that's hard to, I mean, those young guys were the starters. We're talking about our bench. So then you got to go back to 2014 Spurs, no. 2013 Heat, they brought back the big three, LeBron, Bosch, and Wade. So they didn't really have young guys there that screwed up the bench. 2012 was Miami again. 2011 was Dallas. Yeah, we just haven't had a championship team with this many guys on the second unit the next year. This is uncharted territory. So I'll leave it at that. 2-11. We haven't had a championship team in recent memory as far back as 2011 Dallas. Was it 2011 Dallas or something like that? That returned so many youngsters in the second unit. And really, it's not so many youngsters. It's really just JP and Moody that returned, or just a JP equivalent. We have a JP equivalent. Don't think that's been done in a long, long time. Yeah. All right, what you got for me? Blazing, what's up? So yeah, we got an unprecedented squad here. So across the 2-hour mark. Blazing, yeah, you missed some stuff, but check the description. I got some timestamps in there. And next live stream, Friday, of course, 11/11 versus Cavs. Starts at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. tip-off. So we'll see you guys then, right? And we should just do our just us 1, 2, 3, fellas and gals. So you ready? We'll see you Friday. Just us 1, 2, 3. See you later, everybody. Thanks for coming on here. And once again, I started the stream. Apologies to NRG Manifest, who probably hates me now. But yeah, apologies, NRG Manifest, if you're out there. NRG Manifest. I would like to send you a t-shirt or something to make up for me using you as a punching bag the other night, but in your words. So I'm embarrassed about that, but we make mistakes, and hopefully you can forgive me for that. But anyways, just us 1, 2, 3. Hopefully the backdrop we're done with. We're done with that. No more hangover. We're done with the hangover. So we'll see you on Friday. Just us 1, 2, 3.